Then came the news that and the allegation that this boy was served pizzas and burgers when he was in the when he was in the police station, and his parents apparently had visited him in the police station. He was allowed to rest and stuff.
The fact that the family brought in the driver into this whole picture.
It was alleged that the driver was driving the car. There was a driver in the vehicle, and apparently he was driving the car while the juvenile in question was not.
6 days back, on May 19th, a tragic incident happened in Pune. And if you're following the news, you wouldn't have missed this. In Pune's Kalyani Nagar, a Porsche, which was allegedly driven by a 17-year-old, collided with a bike, which resulted in two people dying at the spot. With me today is Partho Sarthi, my colleague from Pune, who will be giving us details about the case, what happened in the last 6 days, and all the developments and the latest also on this case. So, Partho, thank you so much for joining me in this conversation. Let me first start by talking about how this case has sparked national attention, because initially there was a sort of leniency that was shown to the minor, the 17-year-old accused. Can you take us through what happened on May 19th?
Okay. So May 19th was a Sunday, and it started pretty early for us. At around 3:34, we got the news of a tragic accident which had happened in Kalyani Nagar. Kalyani Nagar is this upscale locality of Pune, which is next to Koregaon Park, another very upscale locality. And Kalyani Nagar and Koregaon Park both have a lot of very fancy watering holes, if I may use that term. It has a long line of restaurants, of lounges, of bars where people go out to hang out, where people go
Right.
and hang out and sort of have a cool drink or two. Now, what we heard was that early on Sunday morning, it happened on Sunday, that is 19th of May, or very early on morning, there has been a very tragic accident. The accident involved a Porsche, and it also involved two software engineers. Now, the Porsche apparently had mowed down two engineers who were on their bike, and those people had died at spot. Now, the story started developing as the time went by. The first we heard that we learned that the driver was a minor. He is 17 years, 8 months, or some 4 or 5 months short of being an adult, and he was driving under the influence of alcohol. Then came to the light the fact that these two people who died were 24 years old, and they were software engineers, and they were returning after dinner at one of the places in Kalyani Nagar itself. The girl died on spot. Her name was Ashwini, while the boy was transferred to a hospital, but he died. He was proclaimed dead on arrival. This case became interesting when we learned that the local MLA, Sunil Tingre of the Ajit Pawar faction of NCP, had visited the hospital in the dead of the night at around early 3:34
Yeah.
to apparently inquire about the case.
Mhm.
At first, we realized that something has gone wrong because the driver turned out to be the son of a pretty well-known Pune-based realtor, and the car he was driving was a 5 crore Porsche, which did not have a registration plate. So how was he driving? Why was he allowed to drive? And why did the local MLA visited the police
Police
station after
station.
hearing the accident? So these were
Right.
the three things which came up to our mind. And towards the end of towards afternoon, he was produced before the Juvenile Justice Board. It was a single member JJB who heard him. And apparently within 15 hours of the accident, he was allowed to go home. And the terms of his bail were pretty odd. One, he was to write an essay of 300 words regarding traffic safety. Two, he was to help the traffic wardens at Yarwada, where this case was being handled. That's the
Mhm.
police station under which Kalyani Nagar comes. And also, three, he was to visit the RTO to learn about traffic rules, and surety and some kind of a surety was to be given. His grandfather had given the surety, and that's how he was allowed to go.
Mhm.
Now, that immediately added a lot of fire to the fury. Here you had two very middle class aspirational people die, and both of them were from Madhya Pradesh. And here this boy is allowed to go home. Then came the news that and the allegation that this boy was served pizzas and burgers when he was in the when he was in the police station, and his parents apparently had visited him in the police station. He was allowed to rest and stuff. All this is not officially on record, but today when the commissioner of police had taken a press conference, he had accepted that there was some laxity in the way this case was handled. The public fury reached its maximum by Sunday evening when we learned that he was allowed to go home after 15 days. And the police commissioner came on record saying that he was disappointed with the judgment of the JJB. And
Sorry,
they were going to
15
appeal against it.
hours, right?
15 hours. After 15 hours, after 15 hours of the accident, he was allowed to go home. And because these two guys, because the people who died were from Madhya Pradesh, I had spoken to the brother of the deceased girl, and he was really in not a state to talk, and it was heartbreaking for me even to talk to him, try to understand like what happened and everything. I mean, those are those cliche questions we normally ask, and I was in no mood. He told me they come from this town of Jabalpur, city of Jabalpur. They came to Nagpur by road, took a flight from Nagpur to Ahmedabad, and then came to Pune to claim the bodies. They traveled back with the mortal remains to Jabalpur and Pali in Madhya Pradesh. The boy was from Pali and this girl was from Jabalpur. And when I was talking to him, he was actually in the ambulance which had his sister's mortal remains, and that was really heartbreaking. And he himself is a software engineer and he is working from home, and he was 2 days to talk. I spoke to a friend of the boy, Anish, and many layers of his personality came out. He came from a pretty humble background. His family is in some sort of business, not very big, but they are into business. And Anish was helping his younger brother get educated in Pune. Anish apparently was very fond of dal tadka, and he considered himself to be a connoisseur of dal tadka. And every restaurant he visited, the first thing he did was try out the dal tadka. He was the Sergi of the group. In case any of them got into any trouble or wanted some clarification, they used to go to him. So the picture that came to our mind was of a pretty middle class, pretty happy-go-lucky kind of person who enjoyed his food, who liked hanging out. He loved trekking, and he had already drawn up a long list of treks that he and his friends were supposed to go to once the monsoon sets in Maharashtra. However, everything got over in a matter of seconds, not even minutes. The eyewitnesses had told the Porsche had hit the bike with such momentum that the girl was thrown up high in the air. Now, if you see the CCTV grabs, this accident happened at a place of Kalyani Nagar where there is an elevated metro line in the middle of the road. It seems the impact of the collision was so high that this girl she was thrown high up in the air, and it was almost like 10-15 feet above the air, and she fell with a dud and she immediately passed away. Same thing happened with the boy, and the Porsche did not stop at that. The Porsche had hit another red Swift car which was parked, and then it stopped. When this happened, there were some people on the road, some rickshaw drivers, some other people who were returning home. They somehow managed to get the boy out, and then the police came, called the police came, and then the thing started rolling. As soon as this incident happened, the police commissioner came to the media and said that he is not satisfied with the way the JJB has allowed it to go, but he defended his forces, saying that they are trying to put in a watertight case so that the minor is given the maximum due. He mentioned that they are going to appeal to the JJB and to the session court against the single judge bench order, and also they are going to try and get him tried as an adult given the heinousness of the crime. Now today, while the police commissioner was talking to the media, our colleague who was present for the press conference, the police commissioner has said that there was a delay in filing the first FIR. If you see the first FIR, that section that was put was 304A, and then another FIR was filed in which the section 304, that is culpable homicide, was put in. So the police commissioner admitted there was a attempt to that the case was not taken that seriously, and apparently that the investigation is going on what had gone wrong in those first few hours. Why was he taken for his blood alcohol test so late? And what
There was a delay in the blood
was
alcohol
there was
test.
a huge delay. He was
And he
taken to
also
the
said
police.
that they have taken the test twice.
They have
Is that
taken the
true?
test twice, and he was taken to Sassoon Hospital as the general hospital for his blood test, and his blood sample was taken at 11 o'clock in the morning. Everything happened at around 3 o'clock in the morning, and his blood sample was taken at 11 o'clock. So there was a huge amount of time. But the police commissioner insists that they have videographs of him consuming alcohol, and that case is pretty watertight. The accident had happened at 2:30 in the morning, and the whole incident and everything happened after that. Then
Right.
he mentioned that there was a delay in the way the 5 hours planned, and the senior officers were also conveyed about this accident after some lapse of time. By then, there was a lot of hue and cry. The whole social media and the so-called traditional media has also got into the act. All of us were breaking the news as we were talking, and then they realized that something is not very right. He was allowed to go home on Sunday, and on Monday they appealed against it. And then on Monday the case was appealed against, and the JJB ruled that he should not be allowed to go home. He should be sent to the reformatory home. That's the observatory home where children who are at conflict with law are kept. So at present, he is at the Yarwada reformatory home, and he has been kept there till June 5th. The JJB is yet to take a call about him being tried as an adult, given the heinousness of the crime.
Can we talk a little bit about the family background? Because of course, he was driving a Porsche, and there were reports also that he spent lavishly the night they had been drinking, allegedly drinking. And can you throw some light on the family background?
The family is a realtor family. They are realtors for 3 or 4 generations. It was started by the grandfather, the great grandfather, and this boy's father is the 3rd generation in the business. They have developed some huge mega projects, but the family has had its run with controversies. The family is known. There was a case in around 3-4 years back in which one of the ruling party corporators of PMC, Eknath Shinde, Shiv Sena corporators of PMC, had alleged links of underworld links with that family. There were even now today as we speak that corporator, the ex-corporator that is, he is holding a press conference regarding the same and giving more details. The family had there were some cases regarding government land, something like that with that family. And the family is very well known in the circuit. They are one of the biggest leaders. They are one of the biggest big boys in the of the realtor world, but they are mostly based out of Pune and its surrounding regions. They have developed office spaces. They have developed a pretty amazing club which is near Pune station, and also they have developed a lot of residential property societies and properties. They're pretty big. They're not socialite, but they are the moneyed kind.
Okay, okay. Now, what actions have been taken against the father?
Okay, so the police commissioner, after everything came out, the police commissioner
Right.
said action would be taken against the father because he had A, allowed the juvenile to drive, and B, he knew that he was consuming alcohol, although he was not of the legal age. So the commissioner had formed a team, and that team had went for searching for the father. It seems the father was not there in Pune, but they apprehended him around Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, and he was brought to Pune, and then he has been kept in police custody. His custody, he's going to be produced in the court today, and the court will decide on whether he will be left, whether he will be allowed to go free, or whether he will be his custody will be extended. The police are pressing for extension of his custody.
Okay, okay.
Even the grandfather has been questioned in this regard. The case has become very big.
Absolutely, and we see that there's a massive public outcry and concerns over the handling of the case, and you know, everyone wants that measure. There should be something to ensure a fair and thorough investigation into this incident, right? Now, what also came to the light was the fact that the family brought in the driver into this whole picture. Can you tell us more about what are you hearing on the ground?
So that came out, that had come out the previous day itself, but today the commissioner gave evidence of it and said that in the initial time it was alleged that the driver was driving the car. There was a driver in the vehicle, and apparently he was driving the car while the juvenile in question was not. There was an attempt to put the blame on the driver, but somehow that did not happen. So the commissioner has said this amounts to tampering of evidence, and there will be the further charges will be slapped on the boy and the father. So I mean, if I can quote from my colleague's copy, the probe by the Pune City Police has revealed that after the accident, the father of the minor boy attempted to show the driver of the Porsche was not his minor son but an adult. We have recorded the statement of the person employed by the family for driving the Porsche car. The statement of the driver is important. So that was the twist they were trying to give, because two people had died. If this was a hit and run accident, maybe it might not have become this big. Obviously, a juvenile driving this 5 crore car without registration, under the influence of alcohol, that's a huge case. And here we have two very innocent lives snuffed off. They were just starting their lives. One of them, they were just finished their projects. One of them wanted to go abroad and study. The other one wanted to get a better job. So it's really tragic. And then obviously 15 hours after the accident, the boy goes back home. Nothing was matching up. That's why the cases become so big.
Absolutely, Partho. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us all those details. And as investigations continue and legal proceedings unfold, we at the Indian Express will ensure that you get all the updates on this case. And so that you don't miss anything related to the case, subscribe and also like our channel. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Partho, for joining me.
Thank you, Charulata. Bye.